Hey y'all, today on the farm, if this heavy cloud cover clears, if the heavy cloud cover clears today, we are gonna run every manufacturer of peanut harvesting equipment in the same field at the same time, side by side. We got a bunch of goobers out here. We're gonna pick these goobers. We're gonna be running a KMC picker. We're gonna be running a Modest pickers. We're gonna be running a Colombo picker. And we're gonna have every tractor, major tractor manufacturer in the South represented as well, except for one. You see there's two green tractors right there, but they're both the same brand. There's one brand missing here. Fent, where are you at? If Fent would bring a tractor out here, we would have every tractor and every harvesting combine represented, but we don't have a Fent, so we got two Deeres instead of a Fent because you got to replace green with green. But we're going to jump on here. We're going to look at the different cabs, look at the different pickers, and we're going to have a really good comparison today. Before we get started today, the worst part of my day, I have a pretty good day out here just picking peanuts each day and working on the farm. That's not a problem, but the worst part of my day each day is dealing with one of these. Grease guns. If you deal with these on a daily basis, you absolutely hate grease guns. This is a nasty thing. It is a necessary evil. I have to use it to keep the machines in optimal running condition. Not a joy to deal with. I usually change clothes after I'm finished greasing and servicing the picker each day, and you'll see me looking mighty dirty at the end of the day, but that's usually my second set of clothes. I change clothes after dealing with this and greasing all the chains. So luckily the guys from Task Star sent me this. This is a cool new grease gun. It is battery powered. The cool thing about the batteries it uses is they are actually the same as your Makita power tools. So if you have Makita tools, you don't necessarily have to be looking for your batteries here because they are interchangeable with the batteries you already have. The other super cool feature is the hose on this gun is over 3 feet long. It is super long hose, which means I'm not up in a tight nook or cranny in that picker trying to grease with a little short hose. I can actually stand back and snake this thing in there and get to the alamite without me getting as dirty. And the best feature of all is it has a flashlight on the end. A lot of times you're greasing a bearing that's behind a big cog or up in a dark area. Maybe it's a PTO shaft up under a cover, and you can't really see if the grease is getting into alamite or just squirting out around it. Well, with the light on this, you can actually shine a light on where you're putting the grease at and know what you're doing. Pretty thoughtful. I thought that was a great addition to the gun. I love the gun. Super cool feature also is you're gonna have grease on the end of your cord. It's gonna be rolling around the back of your truck, getting everything in your truck dirty. Well, they thought about that also. The cord tucks back into the case shuts up, and the end of the cord is secured so you're not getting grease all over everything in your truck. It's all contained inside the hard case. Super cool product. If you're interested in one of these, I will post a promo code and a link in the description. You can check them out and get one for yourself. This is the Case Magnum 250. This tractor belongs to Will Foster. Y'all see Big Willie harvesting some of my stuff I get combine. He does these my soybean videos, my corn videos. He lives right down the road from us. He's a red guy. He loves Case stuff. And I've run some of this Case equipment. It is easy to run, a little bit different than Deere. So it's like if you're right-handed and you have to write left-handed, it's just a little bit different. But it is very ergonomic. I like how all your controls are right here where you can reach them all with your thumb. I like the way it's set up. It just takes a little bit getting used to if you're used to driving a green tractor. But one thing that the Case doesn't have that the Massey Ferguson does have is the Case has virtually no overhang, just a very small overhang on the cab. And the cab is smaller in there, a tighter area. So those Case cabs actually heat up. You get hot in there because you're exposed to the sun more. The windshield is actually tilted back a little bit, which lets the sun come in even more. And that is why Case tractors, you will see people that buy Cases always black the windows out. If you don't black the windows out in that tractor, you're gonna burn up in there. So you'll see them black those windows out to try to keep them cool, keep the sun out, and stay comfortable in that cab. You'll notice the overhang on the back of the Case. They actually give you a little bit more overhang on the back of the roof than they do on the front. Deere has almost no overhang on the back, but the Deere windows are virtually vertical. The case windows are slanted in, so again, that's allowing more sun into those cabs. That's what makes them a little bit hotter than any of the other brands. This is an older Deere. This is a 7830, so it's a little bit older Deere, not as new of a Deere, but still a relatively new tractor. What I like about this 7000 series is it's just like the 8530 you see me run so much. You got a lot of you got levers instead of digital. You have analog. You have actual physical lever you push instead of hitting a button. And so this is actually more reliable. It's a more reliable setup. I like the simplicity of this. It is a little bit more rugged, little plainer, but this is a lot more reliable setup than if you have the full tech that is available in all the new tractors now. The new tractors now are very tech heavy, and all that stuff is nice when it works. So this is an 8285R John Deere. This is a little bit newer in that tractor, and they've moved the controls on the R's on the bigger series, and once you get into the John Deere's, they start putting letters in the name, not just numbers. You have all the controls mounted on the armrest that pivots with the seat. The controls move with me. I like that. A lot of times seats move independent of the controls, and so if you're turning, it changes where you're reaching. But with the this series Deere, all the controls pivot with the seat. They stay with you, so you actually can maintain the posture that you had as you're operating the vehicle. That's a very cool feature that I really like on these Deeres. If any of y'all saw the last video I put out, we did a special on this tractor here. I'm very excited to have this tractor on the farm. I have this tractor out here and I'm able to run it because of you. Several of my viewers talked to Atlantic Southern and hounded them about getting one of these tractors on the farm for me to review, for me to use out here, for me to show y'all. The guys at Atlantic Southern and the guys at Elite Ag in Leesburg, both of them reached out to Massey Ferguson and made this happen. So thank you to you viewers that reached out to the dealers, and thank you to Atlantic Southern Tifton and Elite Ag Leesburg for reaching out to Massey and making this possible. So the Massey Ferguson cab is unsurpassed. This is the cream of the crop, y'all. This cab is really nice. It's gigantic. It's bigger than any other manufacturer's cabs. You can actually put their competitors' cabs inside this cab. They'll fit inside it. I can't reach about half the distance to the windshield. Windshield's way up there. We have a giant overhang of the roof overhanging the windshields. The windshield and the rear windshield are both vertical, and then you have a huge overhang on them, and what that does is it keeps the sun out of here, and so it's much easier to keep this cabin cool. This cabin will stay a lot cooler, a lot easier than it will on the other cabins. And they also have a special feature with the pressure in their AC. You can run your AC two different ways. You can run it the normal way, or you can put it on a different way where it pressurizes the cab. So when you open the door, a rush of air blows out the door, and that prevents dust from rushing in. Typically, you have to get off and set these pickers and check them constantly. And so I'm getting in and out of the tractor all day. And when you open that door, dust piles into the cab, but not with the Massey. When you open the door on the Massey, air rushes out and it blows the dust away from the cab. And that's a super cool feature. They have everything on the Massey mounted on the seat as well. It all pivots with you, goes with me as I turn around and around, it stays with me. And it's all really close together, really tight. You can reach everything, access to everything without much movement. I like this. It is clean. It is very high tech, very nice. A lot of cool features here. It's hard to go wrong with what I see in this tractor. If you've been watching this channel a long time, you've seen me run this beast, and you've seen it a lot. I have a lot of videos of me running this Versatile, and of my brother-in-law running this Versatile, pulling that Colombo picker. I made videos for several years of this tractor and that picker together, and I got videos of me pulling several implements with this tractor. I love Versatile. I like them a lot. The cabs on the Versatiles are up there. It's the highest cab of any of the tractors I've been in. You got to climb a lot of steps to get up here. It's way up in the air. And what that actually means is you can see better. You're up higher, you got a better range of sight. It helps out a lot on the farm being higher. Yeah, it may be tiresome climbing up and down more steps, but you can see what you're doing a lot better. I like the height in the versatile cabs. I also like that, similar to the Massey Ferguson, the versatile cabs are gigantic. They're really, really big. I believe the only tractor I've sat in that has a bigger cabin than that Massey is this tractor, and there's a versatile I sat in at the Sunbelt Ag Expo a year ago that had a cabin a little bit bigger than this one. It was just unreal. But this is an older versatile, so a little bit more analog type controls, a little more basic, but it's still a great tractor. They're highly reliable. The versatiles are actually made where you can work on them. I think that's how everything should be made where it's easy to work on. Some people say, hey, it's made where you can work on it because you got to work on it. You got to work on everything, folks. Every tractor, every brand pickup truck, every 18-wheeler brand, if you use it, it's gonna break. At some point, something's gonna tear up. That's just the facts of life. But what Versatile does is they make their equipment where you yourself can easily work on it. That's hyper important. I think that's the greatest thing I've seen a manufacturer do in decades. I love how easy these machines are to work on. The only thing I really don't like about the Versatile is this hood up here, folks. This hood is gigantic. It is a massive, massive hood. And so if you have to get under there for daily maintenance or whatever it is you're doing, it's a little bit of a chore to get that hood up. And it is a beast. The Massey, in comparison, has a very tiny hood that you can lift up with one hand and you can get around there. But this hood here is about the size of a small pickup truck. That's a little bit of a drawback for me. But overall, I do love the Versatiles. I like how easy they are to access all the components. When it comes to these Colombo pickers, we're going to get some video running today, and what I say may or may not hold up, but just from my previous experience, the Colombo picker, this one in particular, picks cleaner and faster than any peanut picker I've been around. It does a better job than any of them I've ever seen. Now, if you get another Colombo exactly like that one, it may not work at all. I've seen a lot of people buy Colombos and get frustrated with them and sell them back and get a blue picker to replace it, because there's not, from what I've seen personally, not a lot of consistency with the Colombos. Some of them are fantastic. They're the best pickers ever made. And then the very next one off the line, you can't make it work right. They may have remedied that issue. I don't know. I'm just speaking of what I've seen up to this day of my life. I've seen a lot of inconsistency in the Colombos. I've not seen anybody make a more consistent picker than a Modus. These pickers are built like a tank. They typically will pick on a cloudy day like this about an hour sooner than a KMC picker will. You can get in the field sooner with these. You're going to run about the same speed with a 2100 or 2110 a Modus as you will with a KMC, but you're going to be able to start a little bit earlier. Now, as far as how clean they're picking, how good they're doing, well, that comes down to the man running the machine. I'm sure there's a guy that can set a KMC really good and get good results, and there's a guy that can't set it right. And the same thing goes with a Modus. If you got a guy that's standing in that seat and not getting off and making adjustments, yeah, it's going to do a crappy job. But if you got a guy that gets off and is checking what he's doing and keeping up with it and making adjustments, then a KMC or a Modus will both do a fantastic job in your peanuts. Now, I have never pulled a KMC myself. I have run in the field with them. We've had them, I have an uncle that had a fleet of them that helped us out maybe 10 years ago. And we were running sooner than his pickers were every day with the blue pickers, but I hadn't run side by side with one of these, and I haven't pulled the latest stuff or any of the stuff that KMC makes, but I've heard that the newest stuff coming out of KMC is actually very, very good. I've heard some people say that they have picked up in the 5 mile an hour range, and if you don't know anything about peanut picking, that's absurd. We normally pick about 1 mile an hour, but I've heard some people say that they have picked around 5 miles an hour. I'd kind of like to see that myself, but some of the new stuff KMC is doing is very exciting. They're making a lot of progress with what they're putting out in the picker world. Everybody already knows KMC makes the best peanut inverter, but for the past couple decades, Modus has been making a better picker. But KMC, from what I hear, is making a pretty strong comeback with their pickers. Our conditions never got right to run today. We kept a heavy cloud cover all day and even got a light misting rain twice in the field, so we couldn't pick. So I came back home, started working on pecan harvesting, and we got the water running on the baby lima beans so we can harvest, hopefully harvest some baby lima beans the next week. But tomorrow, good Lord willing, tomorrow we're gonna finally run the Massey. It'll be the third day it's been on the farm. We hadn't been able to run it with a picker yet, but we will run it tomorrow. And my plan is to film all action shots tomorrow, little to no speaking, just action shots of KMC, Amadas, Colombo, Versatile, John Deere, Massey Ferguson case, just let you see the machines work. I never script anything. I always just film off the cuff and give whatever dialogue hits me at the moment. So it could be a little bit of talk in the video tomorrow, but more than likely just a whole lot of action shots. Hope y'all looking forward to it. I sure am. And I hope y'all learned a little bit about the differences in the machinery today. Thank all y'all for watching. Hope to see you next time.